Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to be working on our data from our Beak Lab. Now, this is the Excel spreadsheet. Now, first thing I have to tell you, very, very, very obvious that not everybody recorded their data. So those of you who haven't done it yet, you need to do this soon because everybody's going to be downloading their data tomorrow. All right, so you need to put your data in first thing tomorrow. All right, so let me tell you what we're going to do. Well, the first thing we can do, we can get rid of the timestamp. I'm going to delete that, and that gives us a little bit more space. We are going to keep the names, and what I'm going to suggest that you do, you do not have to do what I'm doing. I'm just going to make the font a tiny bit larger so that everybody can see it a little bit better. All right, and I'm going to drag that over just a little bit so that we have a little bit more room. It's a little easier to see. Okay, so what do we have? Well, we have the different beak types. I'm also going to delete my information because I didn't actually record any real information. And we have the different beak types and how much food that they actually did. This is the gross amount of food, all right, and then this is the numbers of each kind of food that the creatures were able to actually inhale, all right. So you notice that, for instance, each one did a certain amount. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to actually total up the amount of food. So I'm going to go Insert. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually sum everything up. So we're going to type an equals, and then we're going to type in the word sum, S-U-M. Now, as most of you probably know, it is possible to click on this letter up here, sigma, and use that as an auto sum tool. All right, and I actually will just do that to show you what it does. Okay, you notice how that kind of opens up a button and it creates the, if you notice very carefully, you can see there's a cursor flashing in between the parentheses. Then I can click and just drag down all these guys here, and that should sum up everything that's in the row, and hit enter. Boom. And you'll notice that it sums everything up. Okay, now I think I would prefer actually to do it by hand, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type this in. I'm going to type in equals sum, open parenthesis, and then I'm going to click on the next row down and just add all that up all the way down, and then hit enter, and that should do it. Okay, so there we go. So that's the sum of all the grams of food in the stomach. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and I'm going to drag this all the way across, and that tells me how many different kinds of seeds I brought in. Okay. All right, so that was one thing that we can do, and that gives us a good idea of, like, number one, what the total amount of food that was taken in, and what the number of beans was, and what the number of each kind of seed that was taken in. All right, what we're going to do now is we're actually going to do a little bit of sorting of our data. All right, so let's take this and just 1 second. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I want to freeze the panes because I want to put these guys up at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on row number 3. I'm going to go to Window, and it should say Freeze Panes. Now, hopefully what that does, yep, that froze everything above there, so now all these column labels are going to be kept the same. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to figure out what the most effective food or beak type is for collecting the type of food for collecting food just grossly. In other words, which type of beak is the best for collecting food? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click right here in this grams of food and stomach. I'm going to go Data, Sort, and I'm going to sort the column grams of food and stomach from in descending order. Okay. Boom. And so what that says is, okay, the plastic spoon collect the most in terms of grams, then the eyedropper, plastic spoon. So it looks like the eyedropper and the plastic spoons are kind of tied. Okay, salad tongs come next. All right, the plastic spoons, some people weren't very good. Salad tongs, plastic spoons, salad tongs, eyedroppers. Okay, test tube holders down here at the bottom, least amount of food. Chopsticks. Okay, chopsticks did the poorest. Okay, so this is a quick way of actually estimating, what was best for collecting food grossly. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to actually use this table to calculate, all right, what is the best type of beak to have for calculating just food in terms of the largest number of food, and then what's the best kind of beak to have for collecting beans. And the way you do that is to say, okay, I'm just going to click on here where it says beans, data, sort, and I'm going to collect instead by number of beans, descending order, boom. And we're going to find, well, once again, the plastic spoon seems to be the best for collecting beans. Okay. Then we have the salad tongs, and then we have all the different kinds of things. All right. So this is just a kind of nice, handy-dandy little way of collecting, of figuring out what kind of beaks were best for collecting the kind of things that we wanted to collect. All right. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, I have several questions. Once you've done this, I have several questions I want you guys to answer, and we're going to then move on to the next part of the assignment.